Okay, for a saltwater pool, there's a few steps you want to keep in mind, and I want to go over an overview of how it all works. So step one for a saltwater pool is you want to make sure your salt level is in the right parts per million range. And the way that you're going to do that is that you're going to either have the pool companies testing it for you and you're checking that level, but also on your app, you're going to be able to go under, and I'll show you quickly in the video, you'll be able to go under your pool chlorinator, and if you do view diagnostics, that's going to give you a reading of what your instant salt is. Your instant salt is what you're looking for, and what you're trying to do is make sure that it is in the range of 2,700 to 3,400 parts per million. That is printed on the back of your pool panel, so you don't have to try to remember that number, but this is one place that you can see what that number is. The chlorinator will give you that level, and it is pretty accurate, but really the most accurate way is really to get that printout once a month at the pool company. Now, that's step one, is that you want to keep the salt in that range. So when the pool is brand new, what we're going to do is we're going to add a bunch of bags of salt, because we're starting with a very low salt level in the pool, and we are adding the salt and we're getting it up into that range. As a customer, what's happening over the next years and months and years for you is that as you introduce new water, either from people splashing out water when they're playing and you're introducing new water with a water hose, or if you get rain, all of those items are going to dilute the salt a little bit. So what you're going to do is be adding salt periodically to keep it in the right range. On average, a bag of salt, this is a 40-pound bag of salt that's used for your pool, and you'll see on this actually called food grade, food quality salt that you're adding. A 40-pound bag, which is what we have here, generally changes about 200 parts per million. So as you're adding, that's a good rule of thumb just to keep in mind. When you add the salt, what you're going to do is you're going to literally set it right on the edge of your coping, cut the bag, dump it into the pool, brush it with your brush. That'll help it dissolve. So as it settles to the floor, you can brush it some more. We want it to dissolve into the water. And you want to give yourself at least 3 days or so for that to dissolve and to give you some true readings on your salt levels. But that is step one of a saltwater pool process. Step two, back to the app, is that you're going to be telling your salt system how much to convert. And so under your chlorinator, you'll see there's a percentage bar. 50% is a default that automatically sets when the pool is brand new. You're going to find in most cases with the new systems, 50% is maybe a little high, so you may be finding that you're running yours around 30 to 40%. And what that means is that if it's leave it at 50%, it means 50% of the time the pump is running, it's generating chlorine. It's converting salt into chlorine. So what you're going to want to do as a third step is check your actual chlorine in your pool and get a readout of what your levels are. So just as an overview, again, you add the salt, you make sure by looking at your diagnostics that you're in that right parts per million range on your app. Then you're going to check and make sure you're converting enough. So part one is keep the right levels. Part two is make sure you're converting the right amount and turning it into chlorine. I'll do a separate video on this, more detailed with both pH and chlorine, but this is what you're using weekly to check at your house, and you're testing those levels yourself.